In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at how we can create a multilingual WordPress website with ease. For this, we're going to be using Weglot, who's kindly sponsored this video. But as always, no opinions expressed. I'll demonstrate how this tool works, then you can make a more informed decision for yourself. Now, before we dig in and start installing and setting everything up with using Weglot, let's take a quick look at the end result, the kind of thing we're working towards in this video. So this is a blog section of a site, and as you can see, currently everything is in English. However, we have this nice little switcher at the bottom that allows you to switch between German and French. If we choose German, for example, the site now updates and we have everything in German. So if we come into any of our articles, you see everything inside here is in German. Titles, content, categories, everything is all set up. So this is what we're going to take a look at creating in today's video. So the first thing you're going to need to do is have an account with Weglot. Now you can test this out for free, and they have a free plan that allows you to test this out with 2,000 words and one translated language. So if you want to try this before you buy it, you have the option there to do just that. Once you've got your account set up, is go and install the plugin and connect everything up. So let's do that first. Simply log into your WordPress dashboard, navigate through to the plugin section, click on Add Plugin. From there, search for Weglot, download it, install it, and activate it. So now we're ready to connect everything up. So at the top, you can see Weglot Translate is installed but not yet configured. So let's click on the configuration page. First thing we need to do is apply our API key. To do that, log into your Weglot account, head over to the Projects tab, give your project a name, choose what type of website it's using. So in this case, it's WordPress, but obviously if you're using any of these other ones like Shopify, BigCommerce, and so on, you can connect that up to Weglot as well, and you can use the same set of options. We're going to focus on WordPress though, so we'll select that from the list and click on Next. Now we have everything ready to move forward. So we're going to grab this API key. So we're going to copy that from here, head back into WordPress and simply paste that in. Choose your original language. In my case, this is English, but as you can see, there's a lot of languages you can choose from. So pick what's relevant to you. You can choose what destination languages you want then. So this is what you want to translate from your original language, in this case, English, into. So for this example, let's add a couple of languages in. Let's try German. There's our first one. Let's add another one in. Let's say we want to put French in as well. We'll choose that from our list and we'll say those are the languages we're happy with right now. Click Save Changes. There we go. Your site is now ready to be multilingual. So we'll say, go to my front page, or we can click on Close and we can take a look at the options. So let's go to the front page first of all. You can see if we take a look down the bottom, currently it says English. If we expand this, you can see there's the other language which is set up. As you can see, incredibly simple to configure and get up and running. So we now have that in place. So now we can deal with the different translations for the different parts of our site. You'll also notice at the top bar, we've got a new entry called Weglot, and inside there, we can go into the plugin settings, the dashboard, and we edit in the visual editor. So let's go back into our dashboard, close this down. And as you can see now, we've got all the configuration options available to us. So you can see, even though we inserted our API and our original language and the language is for our destination, we can change those should we want to. So if you want to add additional languages in further on down the line, you simply come out to your destination and inside there you add in whatever other languages you want, or alternatively, you can remove ones you've previously added. If we look underneath then, you can see we can choose how we want the language button to be designed. As you can see, there's our button preview, which is exactly what we've just seen. Shows us an example with the German and the French language underneath, so we can see whatever changes we make, we can see them here. Choose whether it's a drop down, whether you want to use flags, the flag type. You can see you've got rectangle, shiny, square, circle. Up to you, customize this as you see fit. Then you say with name, so if you wanted to get rid of the name and just simply show the flag, you could do that. So let's say we'll do that. We'll come down and save this, hop back over to our site, and as you can see now, we've only got the flags available inside there. Then you've got more options inside here should you want to configure them. So tweak those as you see fit. Then you can override the CSS. So if you wanted to customize the way this drop-down looks, you can absolutely do that here. So you can add in your own CSS, customize it, and tweak it to get exactly in keeping with your overall website design. Then you've got other options like the language button position. You can set whether this is a menu, as a widget, short code, source code. You can set a custom position, translation exclusions. Now this is quite useful. Say for example, you've got parts of your site you literally do not want translated to any other language. You can manage that inside here. So if we click to open this, so inside here we've got excluded URLs and excluded blocks. You then choose whether you want to exclude this for a specific language or for all languages. So you may want to have pages translated in a certain language and not in others. You can handle that inside here. And obviously, if you add or remove languages, you can update them here as well. And then you can choose the action you want. So whether you want to import or export a list. So if you've created a list previously and you want to import them or export them from here, you can absolutely do that here as well. Then you simply click on Add Rule and do that as many times as you need to match out all the excluded URLs. Then you've got excluded blocks. This is where you can exclude certain parts of a page as opposed to an overall page. So let's say, for example, you had a section or there was a call to action specific to a particular country and you didn't want that translated. You could easily come in here and specify what block, either the CSS tag or HTML for it, and choose that from here. Again, same actions. You can import and export, and then you can add additional rules in. You also have the option to use a new feature, which is called the visual exclusion tool. If we click on that, that will open up your site. And then you can literally click on anything you want inside your site to specify that doesn't get translated. So that's pretty cool. And it's easy to do. You can set this up on mobile and desktop. You can preview it and you can see how easy it is to configure. So if you're in a position where you don't understand or know, or even want to go digging around for the CSS or the HTML for any of those particular blocks, you can easily do it with a visual editor way. Really quite a cool feature to be able to do it like that, especially for less tech savvy people that just literally want to come in, click on an object and say, don't translate that. Then you can preview this if you want to, or close it down when you're finished. Then we've got a couple of other options at the bottom should you want to tweak these, like auto redirection, translating emails, translating AMP pages should you be using those. And then if you want to handle the searching as well. So you can see, allows users to search in the language that they use. So this allows them to search based upon whatever language they've got selected and not make them have to default back to English and then use the translation to kind of cater for it. It's all being done, which is, if you're using this for a multilingual site, I would say that's definitely something you want to enable. So we're going to turn that on. We're also going to choose the auto redirection. So this will check and redirect users based upon their browser language. So even, for example, let's just say you've got someone from Germany living or traveling to the UK. They might see the English version by default and have to manually switch over, whereas this might check their language of their browser and it'll then automatically show them the German or the French or whatever it is, no matter where they are in the world. So again, I think from an easy use point of view and a nice kind of experience for users, that's a nice option to enable. And if you do have emails going out from here, especially if you have something like a WooCommerce store, you probably want to change those over and have those translated as well. So we'll choose that option and we'll hit Save Changes. So you now configure the options inside WordPress for how we want them to work. Again, you can come back at any point, make any changes you want inside here. So that's the kind of main part of how we handle it inside WordPress. But the majority of the work we're going to do is going to be inside your account in Weglot itself. So let's jump over there, take a look at the options and see how we can handle the translations and everything to go with it. So whenever you create a new project inside your account, they'll be listed under the Projects tab. As you can see, there's the woodworking world we just added in. And as you can see, we've got a number of languages, the total words and manual translations. So you may have something on a site or a site itself that really could do with being translated, not by AI, but a human that understands the language a lot better. You could do that inside here. You can request manual translations. There is an additional cost to this, so check out the pricing page to find out what those costs would be. But if you want to, you can request that as part of it, and they will show up inside the manual translation section inside your dashboard for each project. You've then got the little three dots, and inside there we can see this, we can delete it, and we can transfer it. So let's open this up. And the first thing you're going to get is this sort of pop-up that says, right, let's get you started with some custom AI translations. So let's say we'll set up a language model. And once we come in here, you can see we can now tweak how the AI will actually interact with the content on our site. So we've got things like our website description. You can see this has pulled this in from our website. But what we can do now is we can choose the tone of voice, whether it's informal, neutral, or formal. In this case, we're going to leave it to neutral. What kind of audience, general, technical, or non-technical? Again, this is going to be specific to your kind of website. In this case, it's non-technical. So we'll save those options. That's now going to first apply those to our English to German translations to test things out. And then we say, okay, let's try that now. Then we're going to continue the dashboard and let that just carry on in the background. So if we jump over into our translation and our languages, you can see inside here we've got our English and our French, and this is now going to start working on those translations. At the moment, nothing is happening in French because we haven't set that up yet. German is what we chose. We can expand any of the languages by simply clicking on them. And inside here, you can see this is showing us where we are right now, what's been translated. And we can see on the left-hand side, there's the English. And then afterwards, it shows us the translation. So at the moment, we're kind of letting this go through and do what it needs to do. But as you can see, we've got things like useful information. We now have the German translation for that. It tells us this is an automatic translation. In other words, we're using AI. We're not using a manual translation. But we can come in and change anything inside here. You'll see we've got these options. So we can say, we want to review this. So we're happy with what it says. And we'll say, yep, that's good. We'll say mark as reviewed. So that's now manually edited translation. Tells us we've confirmed it. It's fine. Then you've also got some other options. You can delete this from here. You can see or hide the details, and you can improve this with AI. So if we click on that, you can see that's going to go in progress, and it's going to check that information out using AI and come back with what it suggests to be an improvement. Because this is pretty simple, like useful information, we've got the German for that. It just tells us this is a perfect match. And we say, yep, we're happy with that. We click on got it. As you can see, this will start to expand out as more content is translated and as we kind of go through the whole translation process. So we'll leave that carry on, and we're going to come back to that in a moment. Now, if this video has piqued your interest and you'd like to try Weglot yourself for 3 months with zero cost, check out the details in the description down below. Now, let's get back on with the rest of this video. Jumping back into our translation list, you can see we're currently about 1% into the translation for our English to German. We haven't set the French up yet. So while we're waiting for that to complete, let's go and take a look at some of the other things that are going on and some of the other options we have available inside our account. If we take a look at the options, drop this down, you can see we choose to make this public. So if you've got translations in progress, you don't necessarily want those to be public, or you have something you've set the translations up, but you want it to be confirmed before they go live, you can disable this from being public. Then you've got the display automatic translations. Now, if you've got AI doing all the translations, that's fine. But maybe you've got other parts of your site or the whole site that actually is using manual translation. Well, this allows you to control whether that automatic translation does or doesn't show. Then you can choose your tone and whether you want to have default, less formal, or more formal. So we're going to leave this as it is. We'll turn the make public back on. But like I say, if you want to disable that while those translations are happening or while they're being reviewed, you can turn those off here. You can access all translations for the language by clicking on here. And again, that takes us back to what we saw a little earlier on. So as I said, we'll let that carry on doing what it needs to do. Come back out of here. Now let's jump into the URL section. So inside here, we can now control the actual URLs. Now, currently, we're just working on the home page. But as more pages are translated, as part of our site grows and expands, they'll be listed here. And we can then easily add in new URLs, remove URLs, and so much more. You'll see we've got missing URL, scan your website. So if we choose that option, we'll let that go and scan through the website. And as you can see, that's now coming back with the different URLs it's finding for things like our contact page, news pages, homepage, blog, all those kinds of things. So there's all our URLs is found, which is 16 URLs. Now, we can choose what URLs will actually be translated. You may not want everything inside here. If you don't, just don't select it. It won't be translated and shown. If you do, well, you can select it from there. So let's say we've got this particular blog post and this particular blog post. We'll say we want to add those URLs in because I want to get those translated. So we'll click add and you can see they've now been added in. No translations found for this URL or language. So they're going to have to go through and actually be checked. And then the translations will start to be added in. So we'll let that, again, like I say, carry on, go through the whole translation process. If we go to the visual editor, this allows us to actually visually edit the site itself. Again, we've got that video, so it shows us exactly how to use this. And when we're ready, we can actually click on Start Editing. That then takes us over to our site. And again, we've now got a preview in this example of our homepage, but obviously we can jump through to other pages. We can select the content. So for example, we can select this content. You can click on the edit. So that now shows us the translation on the left-hand side. You can see in this example, we'll look at the German translation because our French is still working. And as you can see, we can choose any of the other languages from here. We can see what the translation is. We can see the, in this case, the source language, English, and we can deal with the automatic translation from here. So again, we've got the options to come in and use our AI. We can confirm that we're happy with this. We can order a professional translation. So like I said a little earlier, if you want to have translations done without using AI, you can request those. So we can order that from here and we can jump straight through to the translation list. So it's very easy to be able to come in and make changes to anything on here. So for example, this button, we can click it, we can see there's the English, there's the German, all those options are available. So if you prefer to work in a more visual fashion, you can absolutely do that directly inside your account. And you've also got a couple of other options at the top. You can see there's the URL we're currently working on. We can filter things. We can also jump in and take a look at our SEO tags. So we can easily change the SEO tags inside here. And we can also edit the switcher, which is our switcher down the bottom. And you can see there's all our options. So we can choose what position we want, change the name, template and layout. I'm going to apply custom CSS and so on. And finally, if you want to, you can go to your cart. So if you order those translations, you can jump to your cart and see. And then we've also got the ability to switch between mobile and desktop. So maybe you've got different content on the desktop to the mobile, then you can edit that inside here as well. And you can preview this to see the changes in effect. Now let's just jump over to the glossary option. So inside here, we have the add a glossary rule. So you can add glossary rules yourself, or you can import a file. So if you've created one for other sites, or you have a standard setup, you can use those inside here. Let's add a glossary rule in. And you can see now, right, translations matching this rule will be deleted and regenerated on your next visit. So what's the rule? To never translate or always translate. So again, we have control over translations and parts of our site. So we'll just say never translate, and we can say, well, what word don't you want to translate? So for example, let's say we've got something like Apple. You wouldn't necessarily want to translate that into a different language because the company name or the brand name is Apple no matter where you are. So what you could do is never translate, and we could say Apple. We'll put the capital A in this example, and then you can choose what languages this may apply to. So you can click inside here and we say leave empty to apply for all languages. In this case, we would want to do that. And you can say this is case sensitive, so it has to be the capital A for Apple. Then you click on save. That's now been added into our glossary, and you can see never translate Apple is case sensitive and all languages. If you want to edit that, you can click to edit it. All those options pop back up. And if you want to get rid of it, you can hit the little trash can and it's gone. So you can set up rules for things like brands and words and things. So you can even specify what language it applies to, whether it's always or never translated. Then if you've ordered those professional translations, you'll find those inside the professional translation section. Obviously, we don't have anything inside here, but if you did, you would find them inside here. And again, we've got a video to show us exactly how this process would work. So if you do order them, you'll find them inside here under your project. So if you order multiple ones with different projects, they're going to be available inside each project. Your URL slugs, you can see inside here, this is where our slugs are. And your slugs are basically the URL for your site. So you have mywebsite.com/ and you may have blog, or you may have news or something like that. You can translate those inside here as well, should you want to. So for example, we've got category, we could say auto translate. And you can see that's the translation for it. And we'll say auto translate for Word. And we can see that's translated it there as well. So now we'll have the English version and the German version and French and so on if we start adding those in. Again, you've got options at the top to search for these, to filter them, what actions you want and so on. And you can choose what language you actually want to apply to. In this case, we're dealing with German. But let's say we come into French. We can do the same thing here. Say auto translate and auto translate. And as you can see, they're now translated for both French and for German. Next up, we've got statistics. And inside here, we've got two different sections. We've got translation requests. So if we've requested translations, we can find out information inside here. But probably what you're going to look at more so would be the page views. Now, the page views is going to allow you to see the different countries and find out what languages people are actually viewing your site on. As your live website with different translations starts to get traction in different countries, you can gather that information directly inside here. And again, if you have multiple projects, you can easily see that information inside here for any or all of those projects. So now that we've seen how to set everything up and we've got some translations in progress, let's take a look at what this actually looks like on the site and see how this all works with those translations in effect. So this is our site. This is the English version. So you can see we've got the title, we've got the navigation, book appointment in the buttons and so on. But let's switch this over to German and see how that affects the navigation, the actual title, but also how it affects the link or the URL that we've got. So let's change this over from English to German. And you can see now that we have German in the navigation. The button's been changed to German. The hero text, the other button, all of that's been changed over to German. Also, if we take a look at the URL, you'll see now we have DE tagged onto the end. So this is now the German translated version. So we now know that's all working. If we were dealing with French, it would be FR and so on. Let's go and take a look at the blog, for example. As you can see, all my posts inside here have been translated. The heading, the actual category it's in, the language, the button, all those things have been translated. So let's jump into one of these and take a look. And as we can see inside here, everything is now translated over into German. All the headings, the content, everything is in place. Again, our navigation is still showing in German. Our buttons are still showing in German. And also, if we take a look at the URL, you can see there's our DE, which is German. So once your translations are basically underway and you've got everything configured and everything is working the way you want, when you log back into your WordPress dashboard, into any of the content you created, you have a couple more options available. As you can see, we're currently looking at the pages section. And if we come in, you can see we now have edit translations, block exclusions, and URL exclusions. So the options that we have inside the Weglot dashboard are also available inside the actual WordPress dashboard itself. The same thing goes if we come over to the post section. You will see we got exactly the same options inside here as well. So for example, if we click on edit translations, that will take us straight over into our account, open up that particular page or post, and then we can easily come in and start working inside here. So again, we can select anything we want. So we may want to grab this heading, select it. You see over on the left-hand side, the same options you saw a little earlier on. Your AI, you can make changes inside you want, change your language, and so on, so forth. So it's very easy to manage it both either inside your WordPress account, as you've just seen, or inside your Weglot account, as we saw a little earlier. So setting up your multilingual website, whether it's in WordPress or any of the other supported platforms with Weglot, is incredibly simple and straightforward. Set everything up, let it deal with the translations in the background, request professional translation should you want to, or manually handle these things if you want to as well, all inside your Weglot dashboard. And you can also manage a lot of things inside WordPress itself. Now, if you want to find out more about the pricing, the features, and everything else to do with Weglot, all the applicable links will be in the description down below, so you can check those out at your own leisure. If you have any comments, drop those in the comment section down below. And as always, my name is Paul C. This is WPTuts, and until next time, take care.